Welcome back to the Healing Inquiry. This is a space where we explore healing together, not as a fixed answer, but as a process of listening to the body, the mind, and deeper wisdom within us. Just want to do a quick sound check. If you are here live, thank you so much. And if you could pop a note into the chat that you can hear me, that would be much appreciated. So in this series, I'm sharing practices and modalities that support my healing journey that I'm currently on, and I'm inviting you to explore what might support your own healing journey. So these are modalities that I will share. They'll meet you right where you are and whatever you might be working with. They touch upon the root causes of imbalances, however that might be showing up for you. So I invite you to inquire within your own heart, your mind, your body as we go. So it doesn't just speak to the particular healing process that I'm doing, but it really speaks to the broad spectrum. There are some that are going to get very specific, and as we go through that, I will bring that information out when we hit each episode as we go. So I want to thank my friends, specifically Sabine, Kaya, Tina, DL, and many, many more of you who watched episode 1 and showed up to support me. Thank you so much. That means a great deal to me. So in episode 1, just a little brief recap if you haven't seen it yet, I talked about my healing journey. So I discovered a mass in my left breast at the end, the fall of 2023. And I began to explore different healing modalities, and I brought them all in. So I'm a clinical Ayurvedic specialist. I'm also a Kundalini yoga and meditation teacher, but I'm not just bringing in those modalities. So those are kind of where my baseline was. And since then, I've learned and brought in more from other practitioners that I'm going to be sharing with you. So I assembled that support of family and friends and practitioners. And my intention in sharing this series with you is to share these experiences and tools. The weekly episodes, I'm going to focus on each one of the modalities I use, and these are for you to explore. I'm exploring new ones as they come up. So some of you might put a comment in there, and I'm happy to bring that in as an episode and explore more. I want to invite the experts who I've come into contact with and practitioners as we go. So they'll be coming in to discuss right here some of the practices and modalities that they are experts with. And I'm just going to give you the list so you can put that mentally, what we'll be talking about in the future. If something really sparks your interest, kind of make note of that. We're going to talk about food as medicine. We're going to talk about herbal therapy and therapy dosages. Stem cell patch therapy, infrared sauna, cold plunging, panchakarma and deep tissue cleansing, not specifically Ayurvedic, Abhyanga massage, castor oil packs, vitamin and micronutrients, water and hydration of cells, exponentially important, body circulation, movement and exercise, biofield tuning, healing with sound frequencies, sacred space, biogeometry, and many more. That's just the beginning. One of the most important foundations that allowed me to navigate that moment of the aha moment that I needed to do something, I needed to make some changes. There was a pressure moment, was my meditation practice. And that is the topic of today's episode. So it was September 18th, 2025, when I was in the office having the mammogram and the sonogram. I could feel the anxiety from the practitioners around me. I could feel the nervousness in their voices. I could feel it in, when they handed me paperwork, dropping the papers. I just could sense it all around me. They were trying to stay calm, but the energy was very, very thick. And it also probably was reflecting what I was feeling internally. I remember working very consciously, directing all my energy to stay calm on the inside and making sure whatever I was doing and saying and how I was responding was in a calm way of awareness, because I knew it was, this was a sensitive moment, and it was I most certainly knew the outcome before I had to have the test results. It was just a confirmation. As I left, it was about 2 hours. It seemed like it took for a long, long time. It was pretty much all of the morning. As I got in my car, I could feel my mind wanted to take action rather than go into fear. And my mind began already kind of directing to the Ayurvedic herbs that I knew, and to create a formula that I knew of. We call it Lekana, and I'll be more and more specific about the herbal formulas and dosages and the wisdom and intelligence of herbs with different disease manifestations in a episode coming up in a few weeks. But just to give you an idea, Lekanas they're called, Lekana is a Sanskrit word, and it means channel clearing, dissolving growth. And the initial herbs that I used, it's called Purnanarva, Chitrok, Trikatu, and Gentian. And I have since refined, and I took out the Purnanarva because it really, really flushes the lymph system, kind of probably more in a drying effect. And so with the direction of my Ayurvedic mentor and practitioner, I switched that to Guduchi, which is more supportive and nourishing to the lymph system. And so, my mind went ahead, and immediately when I got home, I put that formula together. And later in that day, my mind began to go into the stories to create fear. So briefly, I was wondering who would take care of me if I chose the allopathic treatment prognosis path. Who would take care of me? Where would I live? What would that look like? I began seeing those visions in my mind. But those stories did not feel true to me. It didn't feel like who I was. I just recognized them as mental projections. They were projections of somebody who wasn't me. And I was able to let them go and dissolve without going further into them. So instead of isolating in the fear, my mind immediately reached out to friends I trusted, people with healing practices that aligned with my values. Meditation helped me move toward that rather than the isolation. So a meditation practice, a practice is exactly that. You practice it and bring it into your life daily. So when the pressure presents itself, as life does, we're not thrown off balance. We have that capacity. There's a practice within us that allows that mind to move into that central channel rather than being pulled to the left channel or the right channel. And I'll speak about what that means in just a moment. So as I mentioned, I'd already had a daily practice. It was each morning 45 to 60 minutes. And this is a devotional practice. It's not just I'm checking off the box and I'm making sure I do this, but I really completely, fully, wholeheartedly give myself to that moment, because I know what's happening is it's regulating my nervous system. It centers my mind. It clears the mind of any of that other stuff, that those mental projections that might be coming in, fear, anxiety, overwhelm. It clears it of all those frequencies and allows it to be in a very central, aware state throughout the day, throughout anything that can present in life. And it connects me to that inner wisdom of knowing this is aligned with me or this is not aligned with me. And that's the bottom line, is we all come from different experiences. And so we have to go with what is truly aligning with who we are, how we feel our very, very best. And that can look very different for all of us. But that is the central point that I'm trying to make, is that we have to get to that clarity of mind to be making choices that are aligning with who we really are. So meditation, it doesn't remove the difficulty in the life. It doesn't suddenly make everything magic, and that's not happening. But what it does allow is it allows us to stay very present in the moment and not let the mind drift off into the future, into fear, or go into the past, into anger, frustration, resentment, trauma. It's one or the other. A mind will either drift to the future where anxiety and overwhelm, that's where it resides, or the past. And then we're into that respond and react and overreact mode. But without that grounding, we'll 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 move into fear, confusion, anger, and that alone and isolation feeling. So meditation, it creates that mental space so that we can have discernment and clarity. It gives us that moment to be able to see clearly what we're in alignment with and what would be in our best interest, not per, perpetuating the fear and the isolation, not perpetuating any trauma and past issues that have moved us and created this, helped to create the space that we're in. So again, it doesn't fix the problem. It doesn't change the problem, but it creates that inner space that we need to navigate healing wisely and not healing out of fear. So just a few things about yoga. Yoga, the yogic tradition, meditation and yoga are not separate. So Patanjali's is where all yoga comes from. Patanjali's was written around 200 BCE, and any type of yoga that you might have practiced, the asanas or vinyasa, breath, pranayama, it all comes from what Patanjali's wrote. And in the sutras, the very first sutra is the thread. The thread, the link to the practice. He said, and the first one is, and yoga begins here, and it's with the breath. And so it's with the breath, it's with meditation. Everything we do, everything, the postures, all of it is to come into that space of that central channel. It's called Sushumna. Instead of being pulled in the polarity to the left or to the right channel, the feminine, the masculine, instead of being pulled in that direction, and we're coming to that central channel, that's that central channel of clarity. And the breath brings us here. The movement of the breath, the flowing of the breath. All of our misalignment, our imbalances, our disease manifestation the root comes from the moment when the breath has been disrupted. When it hasn't had this flow, when there's been too much holding, too much sustained breath, not enough breath going through, it all comes back to the breath, because the breath flows into every single organ, every single tissue, every single cell. And so when we can get that rhythm and that flow and connect back to that, it brings a health vitality into the body and into the mind. And it brings us into that concentration and meditation. So just again to identify, so we have the central channel. That's what we're bringing the breath into. There's a left channel and a right channel. And just very, very basically, the left channel is the feminine channel. They call it the Ida in Sanskrit, or it has a negative charge. And when I say negative, I don't mean it in the negative sense. It's again, chemistry. It's that negative charge ion. And then the right channel is the positive charge, or the masculine. And that's the polarity of it. And you can very easily tell when you're being pulled out through the day. If you block off one of your nostrils, right nostril, and you notice if the channel on the left nostril is flowing freely, that's the left channel. So you know that that's clear. If it's blocked off, you know that you're being pulled to the right. And if you block off the left nostril, and you notice the right channel is flowing clearly, or is it blocked off, then you're being pulled too much to the left. There should be equal amount of flow going through those channels, because those channels are going right to the brain. And that's where we get the imbalance. The brain will pull that imbalance and it'll pull us into fear, fight, flight, freeze. And so we want to bring it in, we want to bring that breath and the meditation, the mind, into the central channel. And so when we're out of balance, we might experience emotional reactivity, anger, overwhelm, confusion. Yoga and breath practice, it brings those channels back into balance. We get to experience awareness, clarity, discernment, compassion. So again, we're not pretending that life is easy, but we're responding with love in the moment rather than fear. Okay, are you ready to, let's take a minute and let's do a practice that I hope you will practice throughout your day and throughout your week. Very, very simple. It's called the heart coherence breath. And we're just going to practice for 1 minute. I'm going to set my timer. And just come seated very comfortably wherever you are. If you're driving, you can do this with your eyes open. But if it's possible to pull over and sit and not be in that active mind space of driving. So you're just going to put the left hand over the right hand. I'm going to right over the heart. And if you're used to meditating, you can close your eyes and bring your eye gaze inward and up to that third eye point, the point between your eyebrows, which is where the pituitary gland is. That's that master, we call it the master microchip of the brain, of the whole body. It organizes. It's our cognitive thinking. But it's that point between the eyebrows. If not, then just relax the eyes if you're not used to that meditation point. And it's a 16-part breath. So we're going to inhale in 4 breaths through the nose, the nostrils. Both the breath is inhale and exhale through the nostrils on this one. We're going to hold it for 4 counts. We're going to exhale through the nostrils in 4 counts and hold that space out in 4 counts. The out holding of the breath is where all the connection comes in. And I'm going to count us out so you don't have to worry about it. So closing the eyes, hands on the heart, left hand on the chest, right hand over the left hand. And let's begin. Inhale. And hold. And exhale through the nose. All the breath out, hold. And continue, inhale. Hold. And exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. And exhale all the breath out. No breath. Hold that space for a moment. And inhale deeply. Hold that space. And keeping your eyes closed, exhale through the nose. Just relax your hands in your lap. Let the breath come naturally without thought. System regulating itself. This is when balance occurs. This is when we get to that point of feeling like we're in the central channel. Now, this was just a minute. Just notice how your body, your mind, notice if there's any tingly feeling sensations. The tingliness is the nervous system. And that is what the breath activates and balances as the nervous system. So it regulates the breath. It's science. It regulates the stress response. That is, many, many studies have been done to show that. It reconnects the mind and the body. When the mind is in fear, fight, flight, or freeze, it's not connected to the body. It's not listening to the body at all. You cannot tell what's happening in the body. The body gives us the signals, the clear signals. The mind begins to go off if it's not connected, and if we don't have that energy, our prana, our life force in the central channel, it's going to separate out. And that's what's going to make us feel in that kind of chaotic, nervous, overreactive, reactive fear mode. Breath carries that life force. So as we breathe, the life force, chi, it moves and helps it bring it into that central channel. Just 1 minute can shift the system toward calm and awareness. You don't have to meditate for an hour every day. This is a practice I've developed over 25 years. You can start with 1 to 3 minutes of breathing. Notice how your body responds. So I encourage curiosity. Please post any questions you have for me now in the chat. I'll just take a moment. If there's any live questions, I would love to answer them. I respond to them all. If you're listening to the replay, please post questions in the chat. I will respond to all of them. Thank you for being a part of the Healing Inquiry. So just a reminder, coming up in episodes, we're going to focus each episode. We'll have different episodes on Ayurvedic practices, food as medicine, energy healing, herbal therapy, stem cell patch therapy, biogeometry, biofield tuning, and much, much more. Share this episode with friends and family if you think they will benefit from it. Thank you so much. Comment, ask questions below, subscribe, and give a like to support the series getting out to as many people as possible. Thank you for being a part of this inquiry. I'll see you next Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time.